Everyone, it's Bob McIntosh from Mass Hire Lowell Career Center, and welcome to ChatGPT in the job search. And we're going to chat about chat. Many presenters' crutch would be saying that, hey, this is the first time I'm doing this, and they might say it over and over and over again, like after their fifth try. But so this is the first time I'm doing this. 86 people registered. We'll see how many show up. But I'm just going to talk about chat and how you can use it in your job search. So if you've heard and you can see me, then raise your hand. Okay, good. So you've heard my intro. Good. See some familiar names and some new names. Excellent. Good. And I've already got a question or a statement. Okay. So someone can't hear or see me, but in any case, if you have any kind of technical difficulties, then just exit the webinar and then re-enter. Oh, hey, Raymond. Okay. So what I'm going to be talking about is what ChatGPT is. Okay. So I imagine that many of you are not familiar with ChatGPT. You're going to learn about it. So writing your resume and LinkedIn profile. Yes, chat can help you do this. Discovering interview questions. I sat with a customer one day and asked ChatGPT to come up with questions for a senior program manager, and he said those questions were spot on. So I think this is really one of the strengths of chat. Finding companies of interest. I also think this is a strength of chat. And for those of you who are proactive in your job search, you're probably going to want to pay attention to this. And then, of course, I have my polls. Okay, so the first poll is, have you used ChatGPT yet? And please vote. I want to get a count on this. And okay, so I've launched the poll. Okay, I'll give you 10 seconds. I know I've given you a good deal of time because I wanted to get a true count on this. So if you all would vote, that would be great. Okay, very good. Got some love here. 95% of you voted, so here are the results. So 39% of you have used chat, and I'll say I've been using chat for maybe 3 months. I like it. You know, it's helped me in my job coaching. 54% not yet, but you're curious. Okay, and then 2% no and probably won't, which makes me wonder, why are you on this call? Okay, and then 5% of you say, what is chat? For those, any of you who say you probably won't, I'd like to know why. Okay, so what is chat? So it's a language model, and what it generally does is it provides you with information when you give it prompts. And you can give it prompts, a general prompt to begin with, and then you can give more prompts. And basically, you know, it will try to answer any questions you have whatsoever. You know, so it is like engaging with the computer, okay? And chat has more knowledge as an open AI than anyone in the world because it's artificial intelligence. And, you know, what can I say? But is the information always accurate? Probably not. So here is the URL for ChatGPT. If you haven't tried it, then please try it. Now, you might not get on it for a good 2 or 3 times, and the best time to try to get on chat is early in the morning or late at night. Okay, so I've got a question or a statement. Oh, thank you very much, Anne. Okay, so here are some ways that chat can help you, and the first is by personalizing job recommendations. So if, for instance, you were to copy and paste your resume into chat, it would provide you with some, you know, ideas of jobs that would be appropriate for you. Now, I did this with my resume, and at first it came up with the same jobs I'm already doing. But then when I prompted it further, it came up with different jobs. So this can be very helpful. And by the way, I'm not going to read all this text because then we'd be here all day. And also, I wanted to say that in creating this presentation, I want you to write in the question box, how do you think I did it? How did you think I created this presentation? I'll give you 5 seconds. Aha, Karen, excellent. Yes, I use chat. Okay, Karen, good guess, or good, smart guess. Okay, so yeah, so I use chat to create the outline for this presentation, and then I asked it to explain itself. In other words, what do you mean by personalized job recommendations? And this is the text it came up with. Improve resume optimization. So here's where I think chat can be helpful to an extent. I mean, I think that anyone out there in the audience can probably write a better resume than chat will produce, but I'm just going to show you some examples of how chat can help improve your resume. Enhance interview preparation. So remember I said earlier that I spoke, I sat with a customer and we asked it to come up with some, good interview questions. It did. So my customer is very happy about that. Another question or statement. Okay, so someone writes sending generic follow-up emails. It can do that too. I've seen people on LinkedIn share posts that were written by chat. Of course, the people would say that, but it can write a lot. Okay, better company matching. Here's where I really like chat, because if you're being proactive in your job search, you have your target company list, then it can find other companies for you. All right, so there are some limitations though. And first of all, the information is only good to up to 2021. So September of 2021, that's as far as the information goes. It's not current, okay? Not all of it's current, but for our purpose in the job search, maybe it's good enough. Maybe it will provide us enough information to really enhance our job search. So yeah, it could provide incorrect information. And for instance, if I were to ask chat, okay, who's going to win the game tonight? Is it tonight or tomorrow night? The Celtics, or it's tomorrow night. The Celtics or Miami, it wouldn't be able to give me that information. It just doesn't know enough about stuff that's going to happen in the future. Okay, so someone writes, can you show the chat comments to all? Perhaps would make the session feel more exclusive. Okay, so that's probably where. Okay, so I am going to be showing the chat comments, okay, in a little bit. Now, in terms of the resume content suggestion, I'm going to, first of all, just go through the ideas here and then show you what chat actually produced this very morning, okay? So it will provide you with some suggestions for comments. When I asked it to do it for my resume, well, not my resume, but a resume I had written for my CPRW, Certified Professional Resume Writing certification, it didn't really offer a lot of great content. Language suggestions, okay? So in other words, if you are struggling with your resume in terms of the verbiage, how well it's written, chat will offer you some suggestions on that. Feedback and editing, okay? Maybe you have some spelling errors on your resume. Maybe your resume isn't grammatically correct. It can help you with that. And oh, by the way, so can Grammarly. Resume templates. So let's say you have a job description and you want chat to create a resume based on the job description. It's not something I would submit if I were you, because you have to have really achieved what chat suggests you achieve, and you have to defend your resume in an interview. I mean, you might get the interview, but you're going to have to defend it. And then finally, job search tips. So if I were to put a resume into chat and ask it for some job search tips, then it would provide me with that. It would provide me maybe with some jobs to apply for, how to apply for them, and so forth. So as I said, I'm going to show you what chat is capable of. Okay, so, all right, just want to make sure you all can see what I'm seeing. So this is chat live. I mean, I've actually asked it to provide me with some information earlier this morning, but I think I can also prompt it further. Okay, so in terms of the resume, providing content suggestions, I submitted a resume that's pretty strong on its own, but I also wanted to know how chat could improve it. And so here is the resume I pasted into chat, okay? It's for a workers' compensation division director. This is one that I wrote for my CPRW. And you can see that it's quantified results and so forth. And so what did chat produce? So first of all, the prompt was, please provide content suggestions for the following resume. So then you got to hit shift space, okay? Otherwise it will say, okay, would you please provide the resume? So I did. And it came up with something that already turned me off. For the professional summary, it reads, results-driven workers' compensation director. No. I'm not into results driven or any kind of cliches like that, dynamic, outstanding, or anything like that. No, I want really what I had first written. Okay, so this is where I disagree with chat. Workers' compensation division director. Okay, comprehensive expertise in workers' compensation. Okay, so let's go further. And then, and by the way, the summary that it provided is too long for me. So I might actually prompt it to say, please reduce the summary length to 3 lines. Okay, so then it suggests quantifying achievements. Okay, so yes, I agree with that, absolutely. And so then it produced me, actually a lot of what it has written was exactly what like I submitted. Okay, highlight leadership and collaboration skills. Pretty good advice. Okay. Emphasize continuous learning and professional development. Yeah, absolutely. And then additional experience. So that is a title that I suggest that people include on their resume if the resume goes beyond, say, 15 years of work experience. So far, so good. I don't know, raise your hand if you think that chat is impressing you at the moment. Okay, not seeing many hands up. There we go. We got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I can't count off all the people because there are now 74 people on the call. Okay, all right, good. Now, I wanted to provide better language. And so in the summary, again, it gives me results-driven workers' compensation division director. I like the word cultivating. I don't think I had it on the original resume. Adept. Okay, that's sort of a weak, is that an adjective or a verb? I think that's an adjective. Okay. Demonstrated leadership. This is a cliche. Okay, I've seen this way too often on resumes. Okay, that's fine. And so what it did though is, see, I like to have the quantified results at the front of the accomplishment statement. In this case, right here, it listed it at the end, but it didn't really change any of the language, if at all, okay? And it does the same thing here, right? Oh, but here it decides to list the quantified results at the beginning. Curious. All right, okay. All right. So then I asked it to, and I like to be polite, so I say, please provide job tips based on this resume. So what it asked me, or rather what it tells me, and I think it told me this earlier, showcase your achievements. Yeah, okay, that's obvious. Highlight leadership and relationship building skills. This seems like the same verbiage I've read before. Demonstrate expertise in catastrophic injury management. Showcase professional development and certifications. Cool. Okay, so it's given me 7 tips in terms of how I can 7 tips on job search tips rather. Okay. What's the next thing that I prompted it to do for this resume? What would be the ideal practice questions based on this resume? So in other words, if I were to go into an interview, just thinking of questions that would be from my resume, I probably would do very poorly because good interviewers won't just ask you questions based on your resume, but still, let's see what it comes up with. Okay, can you provide an example of a successful product launch or initiative? Okay. How have you developed and nurtured relationships with vendors, partners? Okay, you know, these are pretty decent questions, but are they questions that would be asked in an actual interview? Okay, tell us about your experience in catastrophic injury management. Okay, how have you evaluated and protected lifetime cost? So this is where the customer I was referring to said, yeah, you know, these are some pretty good questions based on his occupation. Someone writes, funny, I say please to it also. I do too, Marlon, because, you know, I don't want it to like kick me off or anything. Someone says, Bob, it would be helpful to show people how you entered the resume at the beginning. I agree. And then so let me just go on with this string, and then I will show you an example of a resume that, you know, needs some correction. Okay, so please provide practice questions for this job. All right. So this is an actual job. So what I did was I entered a job, and this, now we're getting to the interview part of the chat strength here. So let me go back there. All right. Okay, so before that, the next poll is, how would you rate chat's ability to write a resume? So based on what I've shown you, how would you rate its ability to write a resume? Okay, so I've launched the poll. Okay, so I neglected to tell you that 5 is the highest rating. But in any case, let me close the poll and share the results. So regardless, a majority of you feel that it's somewhat in the middle. In other words, it's really not a strong program to write a resume. All right, I agree in some point, yeah. Okay, so let me do this. Let me actually go to a, first of all, let me figure this out. Okay, so here is an actual resume, and based on one of my my customers, I'm going to enter this resume. By the way, you do not need to write current professional references available anymore. So I'm going to copy it, and then I will paste it. But first of all, what do we want to ask it in terms of this resume? Oh, I know. Let's please add accomplishments to resume. Now, here's where I think that chat really fails, in that it provides accomplishments that might not even be true. So let's see what it comes up with. Okay, so I think it's churning. I'm gonna have to go back down to the bottom. Okay. Okay, so let's see. So for the first bullet point, for instance, implemented a streamlined patient monitoring system. Let's see what's on the original. Okay, so there's nothing that really says anything about this person implementing a monitoring system. Received recognition from supervisors for consistently providing compassionate, attentive care. Let's see. So no, but you know what this does though, is it makes one think, okay, so these are some accomplishments that I might have achieved. In that way, you can just sort of pick and choose the ones that you think are applicable. In other words, you've actually achieved, and have them on your resume. All right, so someone writes, what about privacy concerns with ChatGPT? Even if I took my personal details out, as far as I know, there are no concerns in terms of data breach or data being stolen. But what it will do though, is it will accumulate this data, and then it will, and someone's saying they can't hear or see me. Okay, sorry about that. So it will accumulate the information, and in future releases we'll probably use it. LinkedIn is doing that at the moment. They are producing collaborative articles where they're accumulating the information that the content providers submit. Okay, so let's go back to the interviewing. Okay, so practice questions. Here's where I think chat is very, very strong in terms of helping you in your job search, because it will provide you with some pretty decent questions, and a lot of them are behavioral based. Yes, so based on what it has learned in the past, it has learned that probably the best questions are behavioral based questions. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to ask you in the audience to give me your occupation, and the first one who does so, I'm going to type into the search box, okay, give me questions for this occupation. Okay, so behavioral interview tips, it's going to talk about the STAR formula. I didn't look that up yet, but it will talk about how to use the STAR formula. S stands for situation, T, your task in the situation, A, actions you took to solve the situation, and R, positive result. And by the way, raise your hand if you are at the moment on chat right now, not paying attention to me. No, you are, but you're multitasking. Okay, Debbie. All right, Jeff, Jennifer, Jill. Good for you, Karen. Okay, Martin. Good. Okay, so about 4 or 5, maybe 6 of you. Okay, very good. So what else? What else? Okay, so interview strategies. So it's going to suggest some strategies which you've probably heard a lot from career advisors. You may have known this earlier, but in any case, what are some of the strategies you can use to perform better in an interview? It says something like building rapport with the interviewers, managing nerves. You know, it's going to suggest how you can manage nerves, and so forth. And then also the company research. And here's where I did ask chat to research or provide me with questions based on the company. And before I go to you in terms of your occupation, I do want to show you what I did, okay? So going back up here, okay, so that's networking. You know, as I refine this, I think most of it, if not all of it, will be on chat. I mean, you know, I'll be using the platform. Okay, so what interview questions should I expect based on the company? And you know what it did? So first of all, what it did was it gave me questions to expect from this particular job. Okay, so I pasted this job and I asked, please provide practice questions for this job. Okay, and so here's the job. And I think it was for an operations manager. Okay, so here are some practice questions. How would you ensure that the facilities under your oversight provide compliant, safe, and well-maintained work environment? You know, some of these questions, as you're seeing them, might make you think, if you're an operations manager, hey, you know what? I did that, you know, but it's not on my resume. Okay. Okay, so there are 12 questions that, you know, it's funny because sometimes it will provide like 6 answers, 10 answers, or 12 answers. Now, it didn't quite do what I wanted it to. I wanted it to provide me with questions based on the company description. And I got this company description from LinkedIn. Okay, so, no, still. Okay, so I had to say, okay, questions based on the company description. Okay, there we go. So I reposted it. Okay, so based on the company description provided, here are some interview questions. What interests you about working for Ferguson as a value-added distributor in the residential So I imagine that if I asked this of every company description, that it would provide the same, you know, first question. What interests you about working for Ferguson? Okay, so how do you think Ferguson's local expertise and value-add solutions contribute to the success of their customers' complex projects? Very good. Okay, so raise of hands of how many of you feel that at least you would use the interview, at least you would use the interview feature here. Okay, so a lot of hands shooting up. Wow, many, many hands. Okay, so too many to count. All right. So as I promised, I'm going to ask ChatGPT to provide me with interview questions for your occupation. And so the first one I see is, oh, I see a lot of them. Okay. Someone writes, I wish it gave better answers to tell us a character flaw and how to handle it. And that's something that I think it would give you pretty much generic information on, but we can ask that. Okay, so professional photographer, very good. So I'm going to ask, please, okay, so let's see what it comes up with. Okay, so I've noticed this question about almost every occupation. Can you tell us about your experience as a professional photographer? What types of photography do you specialize in? I see this sort of akin to like the tell me about yourself directive. Okay, so how do you handle challenging lighting conditions or unpredictable situations during a shoot? How do you ensure that your client's expectations are met or exceeded in terms of delivering high quality photographs? Okay, so here's one. Can you discuss a time when you faced a creative or technical challenge in your photography work and how you resolved it? So that's a behavioral based question. So that person who entered this occupation, would you raise your hand, or rather, would you write in the question box if you think these questions are valid? Are you with me? Okay, so okay, good. All right, so this person says yes. Okay, so another thing I like to do is say thank you, and watch what it comes up with. You're welcome. I'm glad I could assist you. If you have any more questions or need further help, feel free to ask. Good luck with your interview process. Excellent. Someone writes, good list, can build on it. Absolutely. So I could say more questions. It'll say, certainly, here are more questions. You can tell I've been on this way too long. Okay. You know, these aren't as much behavioral based as I would have assumed. Okay, so this one is, can you tell us about a time when you had to deal with difficult client or challenging photography situation? So what about answers? Okay, let's see. How about this? How do you ensure confidentiality? So I'm going to say, okay, shift, enter. Okay, so for my professional photographer, is this good information for you? Okay. All right. So the second one I received was, okay, so also the photographer, videographer. Okay, so sales director. So again, so like the first one's always, can you tell me about your experience as a sales director? What industries have you worked in, and so on and so forth? Okay, I'm gonna push it. Benefits specialist. I think you need to wait until it's finished. Okay, so someone wants me to explain the shift enter concept, and I think it's because um, she would like you to know this. I know she knows this, but in any case, when you are going to paste the content, then you must hit shift and then enter, not just simply enter. Because if you just hit enter, it's going to say, please provide the resume, please provide the job, you're asking about, and so forth. Okay. Oops. Now, what about networking? And I was curious. I was curious what chat would come up with in terms of networking advice, but in any case, this is one that I really thought was pretty good, and that is the elevator pitch. This is something that I hope all of you are trying to perfect, is your elevator pitch. But this is what I asked chat. So I've got to go back up here. Let me see. Oh, way up here. Okay, so here is what I asked it to do. I said, based on this resume, okay, the resume I showed you earlier, please provide an elevator pitch. Okay, so I shift, enter, and then I hit paste the resume. Then I hit generate, and it came up with this verbiage right here. And to be honest with you, I haven't read through it, but I do see a good number of accomplishments in it. Some strong language. I spearheaded. I increased client savings by 25%. So what you could do is you could take your resume and you could ask it to create an elevator pitch for you. But what would be better is if you attended my Tell Me About Yourself webinar instead. Someone asked, is it longer than 30 seconds or it looks longer than 30 seconds? It could be. Okay. So then the next thing I wanted to know in terms of networking is, okay, what would be some good strategies for networking? And it came up with 8 answers. Okay. So number 1, attend industry events and conferences. Number 2, join professional organizations and associations. 3, utilize online networking platforms, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Seek informational interviews. Number 5, leverage your existing connections, which I think most of you are doing, but it's giving you 7 other strategies you can use for networking. Okay. So then it writes, remember, networking is about building genuine relationships based on mutual trust and support, focus on establishing meaningful connections, and so on and so on. Okay, so then it says that based on what I asked, the value that chat would provide me. So in terms of networking, it said it could talk about key people to meet at networking events. And what it can't do is it can't say, okay, so rather I would like to know, okay, so I'm attending the 50 plus networking group and Susan Joyce is going to be the speaker. Tell me a little bit about her. It couldn't because number 1, it doesn't have access to LinkedIn, and number 2, she might not have all that information available for chat. Okay. So, I mean, this is pretty obvious, industry experts, peers and colleagues, right? Connect with professionals who are of similar state in their careers or working in similar ones. They can become valuable contacts for knowledge sharing, et cetera, et cetera. Influencers and thought leaders, recruiters and HR professionals, if they're going to be there. I mean, if the guest speaker is a recruiter from Zoll and you're interested in working at Zoll, then yeah, obviously you'd want to meet with that person. Okay, the next thing about networking, how would I answer common questions at networking events? So here's where I'm getting a little skeptical because you're not always going to be asked the same questions, and the conversation shouldn't be like an interview, right? When you're networking with someone, it should be more relaxed and friendly. So tell me about yourself. When you're at a networking event, would you say to the person, so tell me about yourself? Raise your hand if that's you. Okay, 1 person raised their hand, 2, 3, 4. Okay, raise your hand if you have received that directive from a networker and it just, you weren't too pleased about that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9. Yeah, I mean, I think it sort of puts you on the spot as a networker, but obviously in an interview, you're going to have to be prepared to deliver your elevator pitch. But in networking, I like it to sort of lead into it. You know, there be more conversation before you start talking about each other's professional experience. Okay, so what do you do? It's sort of like, tell me about yourself. I think I like that question better than tell me about yourself. What brings you to this event? This is a common networking question. Okay, what are you looking to gain from this event? How can I help you? That's a great question. And what I find in most cases that people don't know exactly the help they need. So that's something that you're going to need to think about when you attend networking events. All right, so okay, so I think we are at the point where I submitted that resume, the weaker one, and it shot out another resume. So now I want to really talk about what I find chat to be most valuable, and that is providing companies that are similar to ones of interest, okay? So someone writes, I found ChatGPT isn't great for behavioral analysis or guidance. It lacks empathy, which you want to embody while networking or interviewing. Love that thought. All right. Okay. Thank you, Anna. All right. Okay. So in the question box, what is your number one company? Write that, please. Okay. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, Bose. I've actually looked up Bose before. Okay, so what are similar companies in the greater Boston area? Bose. I hope it understands bad grammar. Okay, so there it is. Okay, Sonos, Isotope. Where's my little, I can't find my bar. Oops, sorry. Okay, and it gives a little explanation as to what these companies do. That's pretty cool. Okay, so now I want to prompt it further. Okay, now I want to say smaller companies, please. It's thinking. Okay, so it says, certainly here are some smaller companies in the greater Boston area that are involved in audio technology, consumer electronics, or related fields. So this would be ideal if like you're in marketing and you really, you know, want to stay in the same industry, you know, pushing the same product, same verbiage and so forth. Okay, what do I have? Now I have King Arthur Flour, and I'm just going to say King Arthur Flour. I've got to spell it right. Okay, so it's just given me a definition of King Arthur Flour. Okay, company similar to. Okay, there we go. Okay, thank you, chat. Iggy's bread. Ooh, Zoo New England, MIT, Fujitsu, Google, Pfizer, Sonos. So good to see that you have your #1 target company. I'm very happy about that. Apple, Moderna, Spa. Oh, someone writes, that is a nice feature. Yeah, I think, Alyssa, I think this is the best feature that chat offers. So let's see. What's it, New England Zoo? Oh, Franklin Park Zoo. Ooh, used to take the kids there, loved it. Stone Zoo, yep. Okay. Someone writes, I know the president of Zoo New England. I'll gladly share that with that person. That would be great. Do you want to write it in the question box? No, let's see. Yeah, write it in the question box and I'll share it with that person if that person wants it. Good networking. Okay, what other questions do you all have? Let's see if we can. Oh, someone says, Patty, love that. Good. Can chat help expedite writing a cover letter matching job requirements to resume? Yes, it can. So that's a great question. So let's do this. Let's take this resume. Whoops. Let me go back to this resume. Okay. Control C. Okay, so let's first ask it to write a generic cover letter. Okay, so resume, shift, enter. I actually think this cover letter is better than the resume. Don't say that, Patty. Okay, so now I'm going to ask it to let's see if the LinkedIn profile about section is any different than the cover letter. No, you don't need the name, location, and so forth. Do I believe the cover letter is too long? Yeah, that is way too long. I can't believe that it is that long based on the resume itself. Okay, I think in terms of the LinkedIn profile about section, it is giving us how we should write it, not the actual verbiage. Actual verbiage. Okay, there we go. Motivated and dedicated professional with a long background in hospital and subacute care settings. I bring combination of clinical skills. Okay, so it knows to use first person point of view. Again, I think it's better than the resume. Finger sticks. Now, here's the thing, this person might not have actually accomplished or achieved those things. Okay, so here's this. Okay, so please, good point. please shorten the great cover letter. See if it likes that. Wow, that's really short. Well, no, it's not done yet. That's still not that short. Okay, so shorter, please. That's okay. Which ChatGPT app is preferred by others? Well, I only have access to 3. I don't have access to 4. Eventually, I hope I will, but that it's going to cost. There's a premium account for $20 a month, which I'm not going to pay for. Oh, I see. Okay, so someone said I've had success giving a word limit for the cover letter. Okay, good. Thank you. 500. Okay, good. Thanks, Julia. But what is all this stuff at the top? We don't need that. I'm just going to assume it's 500 words because I've asked it to eliminate adjectives from. I think that's more than. I've asked it to eliminate adjectives from, you know, like the summary and so forth, and it leaves in one adjective. I think this is way longer than 500 words. Yeah. Okay, let's get off this cover letter. All right. I do believe I have one last poll. Okay, so I went through all of this. And by the way, please download this presentation because it has the the verbiage that I haven't read. Okay, last poll. Will you use ChatGPT? Please be honest. Okay, so I've launched the poll. All right, let me share the results. Okay, so at the beginning, I asked, have you used ChatGPT? Or rather, when I asked how it wrote the resume, most of you weren't impressed. So I feel like I've done my job okay because only 77% of you say heck yes. Let me write it, let me share it. And then 20% of you say, let me think on it. I get that. There are some, serious issues with it. In other words, that when that person was talking about its lack of empathy or being able to express it, absolutely. And that's really important in the job search. Someone says, would have access to the recording of this webinar? I'm going to have my colleague Tim put it in as a, what's it called, Patty? On-demand video. I'll have him do that, and then you can access it on our website. The file itself is way too long. Okay. So I want to thank everyone very much for attending this first ChatGPT webinar of mine, and I promise you I will not say it again when I do the second one, but thank you very much. And so someone says, would you share the web address? Yes, so our website So masshirelowellcc.com. Did I spell it right? Okay. So I'm sending to all. Oh, you're welcome, Lori. Hey, everyone, have a good weekend and stay safe. Don't do anything too crazy, and hopefully you can do some networking over the weekend. Okay, so everyone be good. All right.